is Kate Unger.
Right.
Good evening, members of City Council. I'm sorry to have missed having the opportunity to wish Mayor Sinanian congratulations in person. But I'm sure that he and Councilmember Garpetian will be checking out my scintillating comments later on video. I am, of course, here to talk about Grayson again, as I did last week. I was at the GWP Commission meeting yesterday, and I had a couple of comments related to that and the EIR. What's required to certify an EIR came up yesterday, and I figured, you all have looked at enough that you probably don't need a reminder, so I'll give you one anyway. To certify an EIR, you'd have to certify that the EIR has been completed in compliance with CEQA, that you independently reviewed the EIR, and that the final EIR represents your independent judgment and analysis. I don't think this EIR is in compliance with CEQA. It has several flaws. Just very briefly, I think they include that the project description is both excessively detailed in information about the equipment and yet omits important information for evaluating the project's environmental impacts and comparing it with alternatives. The project objectives are written so restrictively that it's virtually impossible for the alternatives to meet them. As you know, of course, you don't need to act to certify or refuse to certify the EIR on April 10th. You have the option of deferring that decision as your commission has recommended and as I would ask you to as well. At the meeting, President Lal pondered whether it might be possible to replace one of the peaker units with more battery to reduce the gas generation at the plant. She also expressed a desire to remove one or even better, both combined cycle units. Those base load generating units are designed to run the majority of the time. As a close neighbor to the plant, the idea of removing as much base load as possible sounds really good to me, and I hope you seriously consider that. It also seems to me that that would be the best way to keep improving the renewables and zero carbon content of Glendale's power content label. I think you all agree that that's an important goal and something that matters to you a lot. I don't really see how that goal can be met if there's a lot of baseload gas generation at Grayson, because every megawatt that's met with gas is a megawatt that's not being met with renewables. Now, the RFI recommended by the Commission, I'd like to ask you make sure that that long list of project objectives isn't included as requirements for the RFI. I think it makes sense that the responses should address the basic goals and needs, but if you make it too restrictive, you won't be able to get good, robust alternatives. And finally, at the GW Commission, there wasn't discussion about the potential of reducing peak demand as a way to help meet Glendale's needs. Commenters have offered suggestions for ways to incorporate peak load reduction into an alternative project, so that's out there for you to look at. And I urge the Council to seek information to incorporate demand reduction in the project. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
And just as a follow-up, I watched that GWP Commission meeting, and I thought it was a very good discussion. I thought the members of the Commission did a very good job of analyzing and coming up with a solution that they feel is doable. So thank you, Kate.
Thank you.